ePIOZ presents Tech Disciples, addressing the technological challenges of today's church.
Good evening. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us this evening. I'm your one of your hosts, Shawn Alexander, joined by my man, Steve Holder, and of course, the legendary, the living legend, DJ Terminator X.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, how are y'all doing this evening?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing very well. But we got to correct that Stephen D. Holder.
Okay.
That's okay. That's all right. Stephen Holder is an actor on Netflix, and he's a ESPN correspondent. Stephen D. Holder is your boy.
My man. Yes, well, we're going to jump right into it. And we have a very serious topic. You know, Tech Disciples, the Black Church Challenge.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right.
And give us a little insight onto how you, some of the things that you see, Steve.
So, first of all, when it comes to, I know this is the Black Church Challenge, and we're going to talk about that for sure, but this is really for all churches, right?
Okay.
There's no secret that there's a huge gap in technology with churches, right?
Mm-hmm.
And before recently, the two most bottom organizations, I would say, that have the most trouble with technology would be hospitals and churches, right? Doctors don't want to change what they got going on. It's working. I guess doctors in general just don't like change, and they're the ones operating on patients. So they say no to upgrades and changes, and they're on archaic stuff. Well, that all changed drastically recently, not even with HIPAA, but just with all the security and everything going on right now, people getting people's PII and all these other records and stuff. You got to be secure. You got to clamp it down. Right?
Very much so.
So hospitals are getting on board, right? If not by compliance and regulation, just by even the idea of getting newer software to help with, what they're doing in a hospital. So the hospital is moving forward, right? The hospital medical industry, they're all moving forward, even though it still be archaic. On the other hand, the church and the church space is not there. It's just not there. And there's a bunch of reasons for that. And that's kind of why, I wanted to kind of do this podcast and get knowledge out there to people.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's what I got.
Okay. Well, let's get right into it. And tell us a little bit about yourself and the church that you belong to, which is also the church that we all belong to.
Okay.
Talk a little bit about our home.
Our home, well, I go to Southside Church of Christ in Durham, North Carolina. Been here since 2015. And yeah, I'm going to stay right there. Nothing bad, but I'm just going to stay right there to keep it going and get to some of these other questions.
Okay, well, tell us a little bit about Stephen D. Holder.
Well, I'm from Buffalo, New York originally.
Okay.
All right. I wasn't born there, but I lived most of my life there. All my schooling was done there. Futures Academy, School 37, been at high school, School 200, Buffalo State College, undergrad and grad.
Okay.
1300 Elmwood Avenue. So everything, I'm a city boy, I guess, right? City boy. So I did all my schooling there and moved around a little bit, settled in IT, and that's where I'm at now. And just going through IT, looking at all the things that have happened in IT, looking at the church and just seeing that huge gap. So I'm like, all right, what can I do to kind of help this, right? So, yeah, that's enough about me, man.
Okay, well, Norm, DJ Terminator X.
Shawn with a SH.
Now, really, man, a lot of people are going to have a hard time believing this, but you are truly a living legend, and you truly are DJ Terminator X, Public Enemy's own DJ Terminator X. So talk to us about your background, and but I'm sure a lot of us already know.
All right. Yes, I am Norman Rogers, one of the founding members of the rap group Public Enemy. Public Enemy was inducted to the Rock and Roll of Fame in 2013. We also have a Lifetime Achievement Grammy. I also did 2 solo album releases. And most importantly, now we're a member of the media team at Southside Church of Christ in Durham, North Carolina.
Boom, 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 boom. So it's funny. When I posted a flyer, right, my uncle texted me. He's like, Terminator X. And then, wait, but you gotta have people put like the little dots next to it. He's like, Terminator X, ... Like the real one? I'm like, yeah I mean, because I'm not a music person, but, I'm sure you'll clown me on that later.
Man, well, one of these days, Norm, we got to take Steve for a ride and put on Valley of the Cheap Beats.
Valley of the who?
Valley of
All right, this is a church podcast.
For
We got to
real.
talk about church issues. We can talk
Valley of
about
the
my
Cheap Beats,
ill music ability later.
All right,
So-
well, let me just tell a little bit about myself. My name is Shawn Alexander. I'm actually getting ready to celebrate, we're talking about August, September of this year, of 30 years in the industry in regards to being on air, DJing, and emceeing events. It all started for me just a few miles away at Central's radio station, 90.7 WNCU. Back in 1995. Wow, it's 2025. Time flies when you're having fun. But yes, as of recent now, part of the media team here at the Southside Church of Christ, 800 Elmira Avenue in the Bull City, Durham, North Carolina. And I just want to say, Norm, we got to clap it up for my man Steve.
What did I do?
Who's really, man, you're taking the media team at Southside to new heights. And, I became a member of Southside Church of Christ in 2020. And just to see how we have grown in leaps and bounds in just the last 5 years. And thank you. I'm sure you had a hand in it somewhere, for inviting me to join the media team.
Yeah. I mean, here's a hand.
My man.
I mean, I appreciate that, right? And I'm happy to be here at Southside and stuff. But again, the reason for the podcast is for really all churches, because a lot of churches aren't as, as I would say, blessed to have somebody there. And my way's not the right way. My way's not the only way. There's other ways out there, right? But I think the biggest thing is getting people to know about something, because right now they know nothing. And I'm a big proponent of, okay, you have nothing, and now you have something, right?
Okay.
Because a lot of times people will, they'll kind of look around, see what other people are doing, they try and do it, and then they stop. And I'll go to them and be like, well, I mean, you failed because you're not on their level, right? If they're a congregation of 600, 400, and you're rocking with 80, don't try and do what they're doing, right? But people don't know. Another huge thing I see is the internet's out there and everybody's on the internet, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's kind of like I can do this, I can do this. I can do this at the house. Let me just, go to the church building. Like, here's a prime example. A lot of times when, I'm called to do church assessments and stuff like that, one of the biggest problems is, the biggest problem is definitely audio, right? That's their biggest problem. But once you get beyond that, one of their other problems is internet, and specifically Wi-Fi. Right?
Okay.
So what I'll do is I'll come to a church and I'll give them an assessment and I'll look and I'm like, okay, this is our, got some work to do if you're really interested. But then, hey, what's your main issue? What's your pain point? Wi-Fi. I go look at the Wi-Fi box, and it's something that they bought from the local electronics store. And I mean,
Best Buy?
Something like that, man. It don't have to be Best Buy. It could be anything, really. But it's really local. And I know that the internet is taking stores having a hard time, keeping stuff in stock. But the bigger point is, what you buy at Best Buy or anything like that is not going to be sufficient for a church building, right? Because at the house, you got plywood, you got metal beams. No, I'm sorry, not metal beams. You got wooden beams. and maybe
2x4 studs.
yeah, and then drywall, and then maybe 2 floors, right? That's fine. How do you take that to a sanctuary with different structure, right? Now you do have steel beams. You may have fluorescent lighting. You may, the Wi-Fi you get may not be strong enough, and there's all these issues out there. But but people only know what they experience.
Absolutely.
So if it works at the house, I can bring it to the church. And what they find is that it works at the church in a small place, a small location. And why isn't it going everywhere? Well, because what you bought isn't equipped to handle such a large location, right?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting facts. When I was studying for my network in CompTIA, and I didn't know this, but whenever you're doing Wi-Fi, the signal goes through a wall, it instantly loses like half of its signal, just instantly, just gone.
Really?
Now, the frequencies are for those geniuses there, but you got to think about all the walls and doors and classrooms and whatever else you may have at a church building versus what you have at the house. And it's really that scaling that people fail to understand. I just don't understand why this isn't. I just don't understand why this isn't working. We have problems. So the biggest thing is they just don't understand. They just don't understand, and people have to be like in a receiving mode to want to understand.
That's
right?
true.
They have to be in a receiving mode to want to understand. There's a cold-hearted fact that I'm going to say that is true, and I don't have a problem saying it because it's true. You can't educate some people. You just can't do it. Whether it's you as a person or what you stand for, what you believe for, whatever it is, you cannot educate some people. Maybe you're just not the person to educate somebody. So as we dive into these issues with the churches, right, education is a huge factor because most people in leadership in churches across the nation right now, and we're going to keep this general, but I would say most people in leadership in churches across the nation are in their 80s.
Ooh.
That puts them born in the 40s. So it's a different mindset back then, right? Mm-hmm. So 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. They're kind of in their way, and they're thinking a certain type of way. Come to today, 2025, a lot of the things that people may be bringing to them, they don't think are necessary. Because when they were in church in their time, which is what they remember, things were good. And that's just not the case anymore. So you have to educate them like, hey, if you want to get up with the times, you got to make some changes here. They don't want to hear that, but you got to tell them that. And if they don't want to hear it, you need to pack up your bag and go somewhere else.
You're absolutely right. One of the things that I feel that the brothers of our church do a great job of, and that is acknowledging the cyber sanctuary, acknowledging the fact that we do have an online-based community, a consistent online-based community that watches the stream either on YouTube or on Facebook. And can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, if you're in 2025 and you're a church and you don't have some sort of online presence, God is with you. Let's just keep it like that. Okay? God is with you. Because how can you not have, and don't get me wrong, I know there's churches in rural areas and stuff like that, but if you can, you need to have some sort of online presence. Now, if you want to take it a step further and have an online sanctuary, right, that's even better, where people can come and people can, they can worship in the chat and stuff like that. But not to have that at all is, again, it's education. Like, why would a church not have some sort of online presence? Not so much specifically the sanctuary, because some churches, with COVID, right? COVID changed the game on a lot of things. Because most churches were maybe against some sort of online platform before COVID, but once that hit and that money didn't start coming in, what can we do? What can we do right now to get this money back in? And, we can stream. So you had a bunch of churches out there with their cell phones on a tripod at a preacher, and that's what they could do at the time because that's what they knew, right? Okay. Again, it's going back to that, what do people know? What does it work for them? And to the average person, oh, my cell phone can take pictures. Oh, my cell phone can take video. Oh, my cell phone can stream. I can give the church streaming service, which is great, right? Your intents are great and pure, But the reality is you're not thinking about all the other issues that come with that. For example, I'm not trying to be funny, but it happens. What if you didn't pay your phone bill? Okay. What if you didn't pay your phone? All right. Or what if you're out of your data plan for that section of, what happens if you get a telephone call? What happens if you get a text message? Right? These types of things. And people don't think about that because they're so interested in solving the immediate problem. How can I solve this right now for my church? Intents are pure, but you got to think beyond just like the immediate problem, especially with IT right now in today's world, because so much stuff changes so quickly.
Yes. Now, one thing I do have to give our church and our crew props to is how quickly we adapted during COVID. In regards to the cameras in the sanctuary, in regards to putting together a actual video room. When I first started, we just had the audio room. Now we have audio video room right across the hall from each other. And I just commend you and leadership for noticing that, okay, these are needs and not down the line needs. These are immediate needs. We need to address them.
So that's a good point. And I do want to state that it always looks easy after the fact, but in my experience, even when I came here, right, you got to put the work in. You got to roll up your sleeves and, put the work in. Because I had to go to leadership with a plan. And that's very difficult for people in church if they're not in some sort of ministry or if they're not involved. If they're not involved, then it's a huge thing because you got to think, this is another raw story, but it's true. You have people who mean well and they have good jobs. I'll tell you a story. Story time. Somebody came to a church and they're trying to get into church and everybody's happy with that and they're happy too. Person gets a new job and they get into the job and their boss says, hey man, this is a tough thing, but if you can crack it, you can make, good money, you'll get noticed and stuff like that and blah, 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 blah. The hardest part is getting started. Right?
Absolutely.
So boss walks away, person's there working, they're excited. Okay, well, what can I do? What can I do? They make phone calls. Quickly they realize that calling people isn't working in terms of getting whatever they're selling. So what people do is go to the church. They go to the church and they say, hey, church, I got this new job. It'd look really great if, if you all sign on and show that I'm working and it's going to be this and that. And I'm pretty sure a lot of ministers have run into this because they're really pulling on your heartstrings, right? Oh, man, I need a job. I got a job. I'm trying to show my boss that I'm working well, whatever the situation is. Church says, okay, we'll sign up. 6 months later, there's a gathering, and the minister comes to the person and says, hey, how's that job going? Oh, they don't like me. I quit. Yeah, but we just signed this contract with this company off your recommendation. And then it dawns on the person, oh, yeah, I did ask for that. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, they're a good company. They just don't understand me. And, yeah, I just had to do what I had to do. But it's going to be okay. They're okay. You're all right. And then that person just kind of, I don't want to say fizzles out, but whether they stay at the church or leave or whatever it is, the church is now stuck with that contract that company sold them through a person who was there. So how do you think a minister feels about that? Especially when, fast forward 3 years, the next person gets a job and they want to impress their boss and they come to the church. They're going to be a little hesitant.
Very true.
Right? And then, you got to be firm, but you also got to be realistic, right? Do you really need this service? If the answer is no, then don't get it. If the member doesn't understand that, then that's too bad. Now, that's what I would say. Now, if you're a minister and stuff, you have to kind of articulate that and massage it. But that's a problem because the first time that happens, the ministers aren't educated, right? Oh, okay, yeah, we need this. Sure, all right, yeah, we're helping you out, and we need it. Okay. And then 6 months later, the person's no longer working there. You find out you really don't need the service, and you're stuck paying for something until it cycles out. So that's one piece of it. But we're at our first video, I think.
Oh, okay. We'll run our first video.
So you want to?
Yeah, Norm.
We gotta give her an introduction.
Yeah.
Grace.
We're gonna run an introduction for young lady Grace.
Grace Palé. Grace
Yeah.
Palé. So actually, I don't know if I gave you a copy of that. So Grace Palé is a gospel artist in France. You know, I love French. I love French culture. I'm not French. I speak a little bit of French, but I'm not amazing at it or whatever. But I went to France a while ago, and I met her before. But when I went out there, I met her family. Our husband's mad cool, and I mean, from when I met her to where she's at now, she's done a lot of things in terms of gospel singing, and she's really great. So it's Grâce Palé, and yeah, that's it. Go ahead, Terminator X.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, Seigneur, t'as fait de moi un vainqueur. Tu as écrit mon nom sur ton cœur. Tu me donnes ta grâce, ta paix, ta faveur. Et à l'ombre de tes ailes, je suis si comblé. Choix, mais c'est ton décret. Les ténèbres ont échoué. Je vis une vie de victoire. Pour tout ça, je ne peux pas me taire. Je veux crier plus fort. Devant toi, tout se soumet. Les mers et les murailles. Au simple écho de ta voix. Islam et merveille, je suis béni. Je suis béni. Et tu m'as aimé, je te dis merci. Tatio, powerful God, I'm thankful. Je suis béni, je suis béni. Parce que t'es mon papa, un papa si puissant. Parce que t'es mon papa, un papa si puissant. Je suis béni. Je suis béni, je suis béni, je suis béni. Parce que t'es mon papa, un papa si puissant. Parce que t'es mon papa, un papa si puissant.
Thank you very much for joining us this evening, Tech Disciples, with my man Stephen D. Holder, Shawn Alexander, and the legendary DJ Terminator X. Talking about the Black Church challenges. I guess we can also call that Black Church technological challenges. So, Steve, you gave us an overview of some of the things that they need to look out for. What are some of the things that you see on a consistent basis when you're out in the community at other churches, besides our home of
other churches,
Southside,
other
Church of
churches.
Christ?
Again, especially in the Black community church, right? The problem is they don't know, they don't trust, and they don't want to spend money. Right? Once you identify those things and write them down, you at least have a reference point. A lot of times when I go and talk to churches, they sometimes I can get past the educational part of, hey, you need this to really go to the next level if that's what you say you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But once you start kind of talking to them about the equipment, you start seeing them doing like the little cash register in their heads. This is going to cost some cash. This is going to cost some cash. And they wind up saying they think they can do it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I see a lot of that. And I get it. Like, this technology is not cheap, right? And everybody wants to save, and I get that. But if you're really trying to invest in the right products, you need to kind of spend the money. Now, I don't do a very good way of articulating that, 'cause I'm going to tell you what it is. And if you don't want it, I'm going to say, okay, and walk off to the next church that is willing to listen. But the problem with that is that kind of leaves the church still stuck. But I still feel good because I give them some sort of direction that they probably didn't have before.
Okay.
I see a lot of old equipment in churches, even in 2025. I see a lot of donated equipment. And that's a huge problem, man. I keep telling churches, stop taking other people's junk. 'Cause that's what it is. For whatever, I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason, people don't want to throw away stuff. They would rather drive from their house to the church and donate it, and then drive off feeling good about themselves. Oh, I gave that to the church. Church don't know what to do with this. And even if the church wanted to do it, it's old. It don't work. Why'd you get rid of it? Tell you what, give me the value of it in cash. How about that? Let's do that. But they won't do that, though. So, but again, it goes back to being educated. Churches, the minister should not really know anything about, unless the minister is a technologically savvy person. Most ministers don't need to know about technology. And I'm not trying to say that as a dig. I'm just trying to say that they're more focused on tending to the flock, tending to the sheep, their sermon, their deacons, whatever they got going on. They're more focused on that. They should not ever have to worry about technology. But they're often in that position because of people not staying committed to tech, video, whatever it is. People not trying to do more than kind of like the bare minimum, right? And people not having vision to think further. It's a huge problem. So those are the main things that I kind of see going into most churches. Like one of the ways I know instantly if a church really needs help, if like it really needs help, is something to this effect. I'll go to our church, I'll talk with them, I'll meet with the people, I'll go see what they have. And at some point in the conversation, I'll say, you know what, it might be cool if you all have some sort of controller for your cameras, if they have cameras. The way I know a church instantly needs help is they'll immediately come back with, oh, we already have that. We already have that. They'll immediately come back with that. And instantly I know chances are you need help. I'm not saying they don't have it, but what I am saying is technology changes so fast that if you have something that you already have, or if you already have something, chances are it's old. And chances are it's not new, it's not going to be effective in the way you want. It's working for you, so in your mind you think it's good, but you're saying, hey, we can't get the right camera angle, or hey, this thing isn't working properly. You really have to think again beyond just the immediate need. Does that make sense? That should make sense.
Absolutely.
I hope it makes sense, because I've run into that a couple times.
Have you ever been in a situation where someone came to visit our church, Southside Church of Christ, and say, hey, you guys are doing it with a capital D?
Well, I mean, people have come here and they have looked like, oh, okay. And, I always try and be humble about it and always give credit to, the team and leadership, because again, leadership, they sign off on it, right? But it's the team that actually enacts all this stuff. They're the ones operating everything behind the scenes, right? So it's a team effort and these types of things. But I mean, they don't know how I am, but you know how I am.
Oh, all too well, brother.
People will, they say, oh man, we would like something like this. Now, I don't tell them this, but in my head, I guarantee you, I'm saying, do you really? Do you really want this? Because this is not, you just go and buy it and it's in play. You got to train your people, right? You can have the best equipment in the world, but if your people aren't trained on it, it's null and void. Right, it going to be a bad situation. But yeah, people have come here, they've looked, and they seem impressed, which is cool. I like that. But when they're interested about saying, hey, can you do something? I'm really interested in talking with them. All right, we'll exchange information, and I'll reach out to them, and then crickets. And I learned early enough that, people have to be in a receiving, me and my mom joke about this, people have to be in a receiving mode. And if you're not in a receiving mode, no matter who's telling it to you, you're just not going to pay attention. You're just not ready for it yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think what really has to happen, what has happened with the last, with the nation really, was action reaction, which is COVID. Very few churches, I would think, were online regularly and had like a whole online thing before COVID. But once COVID happened, it really shifted everybody. We're like, oh, we got to do something, right? It shouldn't have to come to that. But it does. And these are the kind of things that have to happen. I don't wish ill will on any church, but if you have a problem with, your streaming solution, and you don't know if it's OBS or if it's something else, it's like working intermittently. What has to happen probably is the computer has to crash where you're down. In the IT industry, we call that being down or an outage.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want that because there's no interaction going on. People can't get to you. If people can't, especially online, right? If you're online, let me phrase it this way: when churches are online, this is another thing I see. You have to be streaming clearly, and the audio has to be audible. Is that how you say it, right? Audible. Because if not, let's just change the narrative. I give you a link. Hey, check out this video, this music video, and you click on it. The picture's grainy. The audio's in and out. It's not clear. You're clicking the X, and you're not going back. And when I ask you, how'd you look at the video? Oh yeah, it was cool. And then that's the end of the conversation because you don't want to be bothered, right? Because in your mind, you went to it, and this is poor quality.
Poor quality.
And we're over here trying to give the gospel out poorly. Better go somewhere with that, man. So these types of things, but you have to, again, it goes back to education. You have to educate people. One of the biggest things I do, I'm a very, before, during, and after, when I do assessments with churches, it's like, okay, what do you have today? Like, what's your baseline today? Show me what you have going on today. And I'll go on churches, like when they call me for assistance and stuff, I'll go and I'll see what their stream is, if they have a stream. And I'll take a look at it, and I'll make down some pointers. And I go and meet with them, we start talking about stuff. And in the churches that really are trying to make the next move, I can see that they have a lot of people in the congregation that have helped or assisted or have some knowledge of audio, video, computers, and they've done what they could. The issue with that is at some point in IT, things are good until they're not, and they get difficult, and it takes time to figure it out. I said earlier, people are more concerned with the immediate fix and immediate need. Once you get to a situation where you need to really think about things and really map it out and draw it down, that takes time. And people who are in the industry necessarily don't want to do that for their church. They do at first because it's easy, there's no accountability, the church is happy, but you're going to come to that door one day. You have to go through it. It's not going to work with the skeleton key. You got to find another way in. And churches have to be careful with that. Even if churches are interested in hiring people or whatever it is, listen, man, go corporate on them. Give them a grace period. In your mind, don't tell them that, but just say, all right, well, before we start giving you keys places, are you going to be here? Are you going to be available when the kitchen gets hot?
Absolutely.
Right? Because it will get hot. Just because you get technology does not mean your church issues will go away. Your church technology issues will go away. All right? In regular service, if people are disruptive, we have people come down and remove them. They're called ushers. Right? But when you fast forward it to 2025, even now, recently, it's the same thing online. If you have an online sanctuary, people are being disruptive in the chat, trying to take away, trying to distract from the message being presented. They call them trolls, right? Or they may be called some other things. But you also, the language might be a little different. But you have ushers online, but the language has changed, right? They're called moderators now. They moderate these people out, zap them, or whatever it is, you're out of here. So again, it goes back to education. a minister who's preaching for 40 years in the pulpit right now is not going to know that. He's just not going to know that. Actually, all right, I got a story. This is funny.
Oh yeah.
So we're at at Southside when we first started getting heavy with all this stuff. The minister emeritus, Brother Stevens, right? He's like, okay, we're gonna do this, and we're doing it. And Brother Thomas was there, and we were really, I don't want to say at the pinnacle because we were still going up, but we were on the incline for sure in terms of streaming.
Okay.
We were on the incline so much that we were starting to get attacked by trolls or whatever else you want to fill in the blank with. And luckily that day, it happened toward the end of service, but you could see the chat. It was just with people typing in, or a bot typing in just random stuff. So after service, I get Brother Thomas and Brother Stevens. I'm like, Brother Thomas and Brother Stevens, we got an issue, right? I mean, I'm not out of breath. I'm just like, hey, man, we got an issue. Brother Stevens was like, what's the issue? I was like, man, we got trolls. Brother Thomas was like, oh, yeah, we got to handle that. Brother Stevens is like, we got what? What we got? Trolls? We church. We don't believe in this mythological stuff. What's going on with this? What are trolls? Education. It's not that he's not unintelligent. Very intelligent man, but his time for knowing about trolls online, which is disruptive people in the sanctuary, need to be removed. How do you do it? Well, in the sanctuary, what he knows, ushers. Online, what he didn't know is moderators. So that's the type of education type of stuff that I think needs to be talked about and handled. I forgot to start my clock, but we still good. We still good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. But you're absolutely right. And one of the things that we'll get into during the after set, during the Alley Encore.
Okay, your friends is picking up,
yeah,
Shawn.
We'll get into some of the things that we see when we go to these churches that may not be where we are in regard to technological advances. You pointed out a couple of things. Number one, a lot of times it's just leadership just used to traditional ways of doing things. And now what can these churches do, basically, in a nutshell, to get with the times?
Yeah. The first thing I would absolutely say is write down your goal. Write down what you want. Don't put it in your phone. Don't put it on your calendar. Don't put it in your computer, your tablet. Literally write it down. And I have no evidence for what I'm about to say, but I can't find anything against it. Right? There's something about your own handwriting and your penmanship. When you write something down, you go back to it and look at it. If you can read it, it's a whole lot more meaningful than like on a computer or a text or something like that. Now, don't get me wrong. Reminders and stuff are good, but if you really want to, at least in my view, if you really want to understand something, say, hey, I have a goal that I want to do, they say write it down. Because if it's not written down, it doesn't exist.
True.
Does not exist. You can think about it. You're going to forget about it. It's not the orientation, but the value of it might change. It might skew a little bit. If you write it down with a date and just a sentence or two, like, hey, what do you want? Identifying what you want. You see all these other churches doing what you want to do, but you can't do it. Why not? Well, let's start with what do I want? Because with IT, things are layered. You can't just buy one product and think that everything's going to magically work. You got to start small, right? Very small. If small means a microphone and a laptop, very simple, right? Or even back to the phone streaming that way. Now, you don't stay there, but you start there. Because when you start there, it shows you that you can complete something. You've accomplished your goal. Mm-hmm. You have a finished product that is working. Now, hopefully, you're hungry for the next portion of that, all right? So writing it down, I think, for sure is number one. You got to write it down. And for the people who don't want to write it down, there's going to be other people in churches that are interested, right? They should write it down. Stop the waiting, stop the procrastination. If people aren't going to do it, they're not going to do it. You do it. Because if you don't do it, then there's a lot of good ideas in the graveyard. Okay, nobody's doing it. There's a lot of good ideas in the graveyard. Still there. All right?
That's as real as it gets there.
I mean, well, you gotta say something, do something. Like, don't wait for other people to do it. I was speaking at the Renaissance Church of Christ, the Nehemiah Summit with Orpheus Hayward, and I had a class, and I was talking about technology and these types of things with churches, and I'm not sure what the figure was, but let's just say it was $5,000. I was like, yeah, guys, it's really get started. Just start with something, $5,000, and build from there. And the guy raised his hand. He's like, hey, yeah, man, that sounds really good, but I'm coming into a situation. I'm coming in new to a church. I want to be on the media tech team, visual team, and I see what they need to have done, but it kind of goes over that value you gave. And I said, okay, well, again, start small. Like, don't try and eat the whole pie at once. Start small and give them little pieces of it. And in his situation, this guy's situation, he's like, yeah, even starting small, we're still at a figure that is going to be over what they're going to be willing to spend. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, well, if that's the case, try it anyway. You told me that you're brand new to the church. You told me that you're interested in being on the media team. You told me that they acknowledge that they have problems and they want to get better. You got 3 things going in your favor. Sit down, write up a plan, who, what, when, where, why, and how, and sit down and talk with them. And when I mean talk with them, I don't mean texting. Everybody wants to text and be quick. No, you need to sit down with these people in a meeting. Turn your phone off, okay? Turn off your ringer, put on whatever it is, leave it outside. Sit down and talk with them, so they see exactly what you're saying. And we did some more talking, but the bottom line was, this particular gentleman was like, yeah, they're not going to go for that. I hear what you're saying. They're just not going to spend that much money on stuff like this. And you know what I told him?
What?
Leave. Go to another church. No, I mean, seriously, go to another church. Like, why are you there? You're trying to serve God. You're trying to do your part of the kingdom, and they're not going to help you. Now, whatever their reasoning it is, don't got to be bad blood. Don't got to be nothing. Like, I mean, you identified the issue. You took action on getting a plan together. You presented it to them. You want to do it. You have all these positives, and they're not going to do it. Why are you at that church? You're going to hold on and just sit there and hope that maybe they'll do it? Because this particular guy, he was young. He was like 20, 24, 25. Man, go to another church. I know that hurts, but that's the truth. Otherwise, you're going to stifle yourself because you're hungry and you want to go, and they're not letting you go for whatever reason that is. You can't change some people. You just can't. So I told him to go, and he was surprised, again, because, my delivery is crass and indirect. But I think you have to say it in such a way that, oh, wow, nobody's ever said that to me before, because it's the truth, and they don't want you to leave. Now, on the other token, leadership of that church, now they have a situation, because you have somebody who's young, who's hungry, who wants to do this, and you're saying no. You cannot be upset if they leave. You cannot be upset if they leave. Now, if they approach you and there's like, okay, we see where this is going. We don't want to spend the money, but we don't want to lose them either, right? Mm-hmm. Then a good compromise in that situation is set a deadline. Set an absolute deadline. If it's 4 months, 6 months, something within that time to come back and revisit. And that will give you enough time to either get the funds or talk with whoever you got to talk with to, make a move, or you can go back to him and say, yeah, we're just not ready yet. But either way, you need to give this person a response, mm-hmm. because they're coming to you, right? A lot of times people in leadership say that people don't come to us with stuff, they don't come to us, or they come when it's too late. So if you're in media or tech or whatever, do you want to help the church, go to leadership and bring them a plan. Not something on a, scrap sheet of paper, a full out plan. Mm-hmm. How you're going to do this, when you're going to do this, what are going to be the deliverables. But that's, again, we're talking about corporate level stuff here, not something that you can buy from Best Buy and put into church and have everything work. So it takes time. But yeah, if you're trying to be in media or tech or whatever it is, and you feel like you're not getting the support or the buy-in from leadership, and what else can you do with that church? If this is your desire, if you want to desire to help this church with media and they don't want it, you have to leave and find another church. Well, that would be my suggestion. Because otherwise you're just sitting there stifling, man. You're not growing.
Okay. Well, two things I think that are unique about Southside, our home, and that is, it was like the situation seems as though we had two priorities: online sanctuary and the in-house sanctuary. I watched us get new overhead speakers. How many cameras do we have in the sanctuary now?
I think I have 3.
3 cameras,
Yeah,
from
yeah.
3 different angles. What I want to talk about, what I want to ask you about is, should there be a priority? I mean, wouldn't you always say, one of the things I know Norm hears it as well as I do, and that is, what is the number one goal on Sundays?
I'm going to tell you the number one goal, but I want to preface it with, when you're dealing with people, and you're dealing with a team, and you're dealing with media, you have to somewhat keep things very, very, very simple. Very simple. I only have one rule on the media team, and that is, our online director is going to have my head for this, but it's true. The bottom line is, people have to be able to hear the preacher in the sanctuary.
Amen.
That's the bottom line. Because with all this tech, it's easy to get caught up in trying to get the lights right, trying to get the cameras right, trying to get the, whatever else right. But the people have to be able to hear the preacher in the sanctuary. So that's the number one rule. Everything else is secondary to that. And it's funny because I was talking with a minister. I went to a camp in New York when I was young, growing up, Camp Hunt, Hubbardsville, New York. And he's now a preacher. He's in Arizona, Will Spina. Awesome guy, very funny. Had a great impression of. I'm not sure what that guy he did an impression of, but anyway, he was the guy who baptized me, and
Wow.
he was in Arizona, and he caught on kind of to what I'm doing with the church thing, helping churches and stuff. Hey man, let's connect, let's have a session and stuff. And I said, okay, yeah, no problem. We set up a meeting, and before that, I went to this church's website, and I was looking for the streaming portion. And he had a streaming portion there, but there was no video. It was just literally like old school podcasts, like you just listen to it. So in the meeting with him, I was like, "Hey, Will, man, what's up with your your stream game?" And he said something I never even thought about until he told me. He's like, "Yeah, I see it, but I just don't necessarily know if that's the direction I want to take the church, because the downside of technology is people can start using that as a crutch."
Absolutely.
For your corporate worship, right? We're meant to come together and worship together with people, whether you like sister so and so or brother so and so or not. Hey, listen, all right, let's get this praise on. But we're meant to come together. And when you're online, right? I mean, you're together and you can type in the chat and these types of things, but you're not really with somebody else.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, well, that's big. He's like, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know, That's why I don't have a streaming service. But he does, you can still listen to him. You can still listen. But like in terms of in his situation, he didn't have video. He didn't have any video. Now, maybe he's changed. I said, hey, well, that's a good point. You put me onto something because I never thought about it. But what you might want to consider is kind of like maybe a compromise where you have, the first Sunday of the month, you do video. And then the remaining Sundays, you still no video.
Mm-hmm.
Just something to try, right? Because it may work, it may not work.
Yeah, test the waters.
Test the waters. And he's like, yeah, I'll take it under consideration and stuff. But very good. He put me on to technology may not be the answer to some churches because people will use it as a crutch. With ChatGPT now, nothing's wrong with ChatGPT if you're using it, but if you go to ChatGPT for everything, why am I talking to you? Like, where's your personality? Like that. So yeah, and I use ChatGPT. But people have to be able to hear the preacher in the sanctuary. So in our situation, that's very simple. It's just a microphone and a speaker, or just people being there. Because people you don't know what everybody's going through. They could have had a death in the family, just lost their job. They found out they have a medical condition, and their car broke down. All in 1 week, and they somehow find the strength to get up and get to the building on time and sit down there and listen to a word because they need something to push them forward.
Absolutely.
Now, everybody's different. I get that. But for that person, in my view, we need to make sure they can hear that person, hear the preacher in the sanctuary, because they went through all that and still made it into the building. We need to make sure that that they hear them. That's our second video.
Yeah, that person is the absolute priority. And yeah, we're just about ready for our second video here.
I think I might have missed a copy in that for you too.
No problem, Mario McKennon.
Come on, y'all put y'all hands together. I learned this one in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Y'all help us sing it. Said I wanna live more and more like him. More and more like him. More and more like him. Yeah. I wanna live more and more like him. More and more like him. More and more like him. I want to treat my neighbor right. Yeah. I want to be.
That's Mario McKennon, more like him. Thank you so much for joining us this evening for Tech Disciples with yours truly, Shawn Alexander, my man Stephen D. Holder, and the world famous DJ Terminator X. Norm, you gonna say anything? Oh, okay, all right.
He's DJing.
Yeah, for real.
Doing
Well, hold
his
up.
thing, doing his thing, doing
Now,
his thing.
Terminator doesn't speak. He speaks with his hands.
Is that what he does?
Yeah, he
Is that what
talks with his hands. Yeah. Yeah, for
Let
real.
me stop.
Yeah.
I'm not even a music person. I'm not even a music person. Yeah. So just kind of going back to these churches, right? They don't know, they don't trust, they don't want to spend money. They think they can do it themselves. And you really got to bring, I don't want to say a hammer on them, but you got to kind of say, listen, you doing it this way is not working. Look where you're at. Look, seriously, look where you're at. So I know some churches run into this, and I want to talk about this for a second here. How do you know if your church is, I guess, growing or declining, right? And I have a little formula here. I don't have any backing for it, but everybody has something different. This is mine when it comes to technology, because we're in a time where the people who are coming into church on their own free will, not their grandmother bringing them, not them being forced to go as a child, but on their own free will, right? Maybe it's a couple coming together or somebody interested, they're coming on their own free will. They're going to be of a generation that they're going to, unfortunately, just expect some things. They're just going to expect some things, technologically, all right? As an example, if you're still only collecting the offering by cash and check with no online option, people, you're going to have a hard time. You're going to have a real hard time. People like
no Cash App, no Breeze.
No check. Just say check to somebody who is 18. How many checks have you written? Or have you written? They're going to be like, checks? Oh, yeah, I've seen them, but they don't know about that. The church has got to adjust with these types of things. So here's something I want to leave everybody with, because we're coming up here, which is kind of good, right? I mean, I thought we did right. I'm going to give everybody a measurement. So here's how it works, and I'll probably refine this for the next one. But here's a measurement to see if your church is declining or if it's what's the opposite of declining?
Growth.
Growth. There you go. Growth. Right. Declining or growth. So for the past year, how many baptisms did you have?
Ooh.
Okay. No, we're not done. But that's number one. Number two, how many weddings did you perform? When I say you, I mean like the church building, right?
Mm-hmm.
So many baptisms, how many weddings? Number three, how many people actually place membership at your church? Now, again, I'm still refining this, but all three of those statements should be independent, right? Because you could have 3 baptisms and 1 wedding and 50 people place membership, but the baptism and wedding people didn't stay. They just used you to get baptized or have a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, all the numbers can change, but what I'm trying to get at is if you take the cumulative sum of all those 3 statements, if that number is more than the amount of people who left your church, you're okay. Okay, because let's say you lose 5 people, but you had 2 baptisms, 1 stayed. You had 2 weddings, both stayed, and you had 1 person place a membership. Does that work out? I think that math works out. Like you're doing okay. I hope that worked out. If not, I'll find it on the stream. They'll come back and say something. But if the cumulative sum of those 3 is less than the number of people who left your church, you have some work to do. So this is an interesting story. Back in Buffalo, I know somebody who has, I don't know if they own the church, but they're in the church business. But this was the central essence of it. Apparently, there's a rule in Buffalo, New York, and I didn't know this, that to be a church, not only do you have to follow all the compliance stuff, but you have to perform a wedding every 25 years. And if you don't perform a wedding every 25 years, you have to do something to still be considered a church. I thought about it. I was like, oh, yeah, that's actually, it's not bad. You should hopefully be doing weddings. This church didn't do that, and they closed down the last time I was there.
Wow.
Now, I don't think weddings was their only issue. I think they had other things going on, but, man, you can't wedding 1 couple? Where's your
in
growth
25 years?
Yeah, that's a long time. What are you doing in 25 years?
Time.
That's not changing, right? That's not changing. So I'll refine this statement here a little bit, but that's kind of something I've been working on. So yeah, go ahead, Shawn. I think
Okay, well, no, I think it's been a great show. Great show. Very, very informative. And I want to personally invite you to please join us for the Alley Encore, where we can really get into. I'm gonna just be straight, Steve. You kind of tiptoed around some of the things that we see in churches that are just like, come on now, it's 2025 and you're still doing this, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but in the Alley Encore, we will get to the core of some of the challenges we feel that other churches face. And
I know other churches are facing it, man. It's easy to see big churches online doing things, but don't get me wrong, I love Southside, right? I do, but Southside isn't end all be all. And I always tell everybody, like, listen, go to other churches to see. If anything, to strengthen your own faith, but just see what other people are doing.
yes,
Right? Because I think if you stay in one place too long, you just start thinking that way is the right way and the only way, and that's not true, right? You want to go around and be kind of versatile, in my opinion. So I'll tell anybody to go to different churches.
I mean, there's definitely different ways to be successful at spreading the gospel.
So, all right, so we're going to Ali Encore then? Is that because we're at the end of this show, right?
Yes. So,
Yeah.
DJ Terminator X.
Give us our credit sound.
Good evening and welcome to the Alley Encore.
Allez encore.
Yes.
Allez
yes,
encore.
yes.
Get this French going. Keep it French.
Oh yeah. And now, Steve, we have my man Stephen D. Holder. I'm yours truly, Shawn Alexander, and the legendary, the living legend in the flesh, DJ Terminator X.
No, you're right.
Tech Disciples talking about the Black Church challenges, and it is something when you can see leadership just kind of holding back on technological advances that can you really get around the fact that they are truly a necessity?
Well, I mean, it's hard to get around that fact, but some people are just old school, and that's fine. Not everybody's going to be on board with technology. You just have to take that and take it in stride and move on to the next one. So, and it's not all leadership too. Sometimes it's people who are doing all the operations that don't want to change. Right? It's not all. Don't put it all in leadership because it's not always them all the time. Right? They want things to happen, but they're limited on resources, what they can and can't do because their primary focus is to get the gospel out, which makes sense. But we can talk more about it.
Okay.
As we go on.
Okay.
I'll y'all call right now.
Yeah,
It's the
well.
main podcast. It's chill part now.
Yeah. But speaking of chill part, there's we really want to thank some of the people who sponsor. this
Yeah,
event.
we do. No, I think they're in third order.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Southside's first.
Oh, okay.
You gotta find that copy.
Yeah.
I had an order for you when it got here, but that's all right.
Okay.
You can. Yeah. So keep going. In the meantime, while he's doing that, yeah, that's the one. That's it.
Okay.
Okay, so you can start with that.
Yeah. Well, we have K&K Productions of our very own Southside Church of Christ. Wake Up presents Wake Up, an original stage play on Black history. And this will be a musical stage play that, trust me, you do not want to miss.
So K&K, they've done a lot of activities out Southside, and all of their stuff is always top notch, always engaging, always energetic. So if anybody is in the Durham area, when's that happen?
That's actually June 15th,
June 15th. All right, June 15th. Does it say what time?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. I guess that's what the flyer is supposed to be there for. So, all right, cool, man, cool. So the next one should be.
Yeah, I have
No,
Martin.
no, not that one.
Oh, okay.
Not that one either. Yes, that is it. Yeah, that's
Oh,
the-
okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. I'll number them next time. I'm sorry.
Okay, not a problem at all. We have the 36th annual Women's Day theme, Shift, Serving Him, and Inspiring Faith Together. Now, that's going to be the Saturday, April 5th at 8 a.m. So this is going to start early,
So it started early.
Yeah, at in-person registration. Programs at 9 o'clock. And this is going to be at Southside Church of Christ.
No. That's not going to be at Southside.
Oh, okay.
No.
South Central.
Yes.
Church of
Yes,
Christ.
it is going to be
at
at South. There you
Central
go.
Church of Christ, yes.
Doubling half
And
my
you-
head, bro.
And you can check out their website, scchurchofchrist.org.
So just leave that up there for a sec, Norm. So South Central has been doing a lot of good things recently, and I don't know if you all know, but they just recently installed Minister David Watkins III. Do we have a hand clap for that?
Yes.
Can we do? I think we might. All right, yeah. There we go. So I was actually in Florida when I found out, and I was like, oh man, that's awesome. I've heard him preach before. I know we've met, a time or two, so I'm really excited that he's there. Brother Dublin is still there as the senior pastor there, but Brother Watkins III at South Central, so I'm definitely interested in myself going. I mean, I won't be able to go for the ladies' day, right? I won't be able to go for that. But if you're a lady and you want to go, South Central's going to have some good stuff. So go ahead and check that out. Now we got there we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have the West Oakland Church of Christ. Want you to come out and join small group fellowship and community cookout. Oh yeah, it's gonna be warming up around that time, April 26th.
Yep.
That event is from 12 to 3. And they can get more information by going to wococ.org.
Oh yeah, that's right. That is a website. So let me tell you about West Oakland. So I was doing a workshop at the Renaissance Church of Christ for the Nehemiah Summit, and this gentleman came up to me, Brother Sahili, right?
Okay.
And he's like, "Oh man, I've seen your stuff at a previous Nehemiah, but you're back again. And I need to get with you right quick. I'm like, okay, all right. But in my mind, I'm like, people be saying that they ain't doing nothing. Well, fast forward a couple months, I get a call on the phone. Hey, Brother Holder, this is Brother Sahili. How you doing? I was like, what? He actually called. Right? So
Said it and did it. Follow through.
Man, he invited me to come talk to the West Oakland Church on a Zoom Bible study there, and it was a phenomenal time. They had, I want to say, like 50 people on. It was like a Wednesday night Zoom, which I think is amazing. And I try not to give them too much sharpness or whatever in my delivery, but they're doing really good things here, and I just really want to thank Brother Sahili for that opportunity, and very happy to shout him out here on the Ali Encore podcast of the Tech Disciples.
Absolutely. Okay. So yeah, we
There you go. That one.
and now this gentleman is I don't want to say frequent visitor. What term could we use? We get to see him
Yeah.
on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And I think it's great that my man Mario McKennon takes the time to come and share his gift,
Yeah.
with us. Got a big event coming up, Ministry,
Yes.
Christian hip hop and R&B night, so you can join them for an unforgettable evening of music, fellowship, and fun at Ministry, a special night of Christian hip hop. Yes, Christian hip hop and R&B. That's going to be Friday, March 21st, 6 p.m. at the Chase Center of Dance, and that's in Charlotte, right?
Charlotte. It is in Charlotte.
Yeah, that's not too far from us.
So let me tell you something about Mario. I met Mario through our senior minister, Brother Thomas. Right?
Okay.
When I first met him, he was cool, no problem. We played. I think we played spoons or something in a circle, and it was cool. That was it. And fast forward a little bit, Brother Thomas says, "Hey man, I'm gonna have my man call you. He has a computer tech question, whatever." Okay. Turns out to be Mario. Like, oh, all right, Mario, hey, how you doing? And we talked about his tech question. And somewhere in that conversation, he mentioned that he does audio. Like, this is what he does, audio. I'm like, okay. And just fast forwarding, man, we've run into a great relationship. We worked together on a couple of churches and a couple of events. And Mario's very precise, very dedicated. He knows his stuff. And I'm just happy to be, working with him on a lot of these projects. And I don't know if people know, but Ministry was actually done here at Southside last year. So he's kind of like doing like a tour thing now where it's going to be in Charlotte this year. And the singers he's bringing in, these people got some phenomenal voices, man.
Oh man, yeah,
Phenomenal voices. And I'm definitely, I think I already registered for that. I'll be there. Hopefully Mario will let me help him out. But I know that he's putting a lot into this, and I can see his dedication. I'm just happy and wishing him the best, and I'm going to be there to support him. So very happy that Mario was able to pass this over to me.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Final announcement. Final shout. NACAMA.
Yes.
Yes. Which stands for National Academy of Christian Acapella Music Artists. They have an event coming up Saturday, March 22nd. Worship and concert featuring incredible speakers, uplifting singers, and actually, this is a 2-day event.
Is that what it is?
Yes. So Sunday, they also have an event. Yes, Sunday, March 23rd, worship service and anniversary celebration with a guest speaker, a gentleman that we are all too familiar with, Brother Alvin L. Daniels.
The junior.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
If he's not on there, he might catch you.
Oh, okay.
No. So Nakama, again, with my working with Mario put me on this. I didn't know anything about it, and it's all acapella, so no instruments. And we went to the event that they had last year. It was in Jacksonville, and this is my first time at something like this because I'm not really a music person, but I can still appreciate people coming and using their voices and these types of things. So I really liked it. Mario introduced me to Al, the founder. They had an award ceremony. It was really good. So now what's interesting, Shawn, is the previous shout out for Mario's Ministry, that's actually leading into this Nakama thing because Kingdom Church of Christ and Nakama are kind of doing like a collaboration.
Okay.
So it's like both of them. So it's going to be a packed week in Charlotte, North Carolina on those dates. And I'm going to try to be a part of it. Well, I'm going to be a part of it.
All right.
I'm going to be there.
Okay.
I'm going to be there. So yeah, I'm very excited for that. And happy that we're able to put them on the... definitely got to give a shout out to the minister of Kingdom Church of Christ, which is Kevin D. Jones Sr. I like making sure people have their full names. He's a senior. So yeah, so all the ministers, right, want to shout them all out, and they're also tagged in the credits, so we want to appreciate them. So I think that's our shout outs, right?
Yeah, that's it. So now we can get to the fun part.
What's the fun part, Shawn?
The fun part of the Allian Core.
Yeah.
You know,
what's the fun part? I want to laugh.
I have to admit, you were very PC, very politically correct with how you talked about some of the things you've seen in churches.
Mm-hmm.
Now we want to get down to the nitty gritty. Okay, really, what are some of the things that you've seen that you were just like, okay, I can't believe that this right here looks like an ancient artifact.
Man, Shawn, there's so much stuff out there. So tell you what, how about we both give one?
Okay.
And Terminator X.
Oh yeah, I want Norm to lead us on this one.
I mean,
we had
we'll
DJ Terminator X. Yes.
We'll each give one thing that we think we see that's very old in church, and then maybe we'll set ourselves up for another episode.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Go ahead, Shawn. You go first.
Okay. I can only do one.
Yeah, we'll give just because we gotta save some for the next session.
Okay.
Unless it's like combined.
Now here's the thing. Terminator X and myself, now don't get me wrong. I'm not in his stratosphere, but we both DJ.
Mm-hmm.
We both are familiar with DJ equipment. One thing that you see now are powered speakers.
Okay.
Powered speakers. Speakers with amplifiers built into them. Is that correct? Terminator.
That's correct.
That's correct. Okay. So when I see one of the things that let you know, so there's powered speakers and there are passive speakers
That run on amplifiers.
that
External.
also have what else on them? Nor.
Equalizer.
Say what?
Equalizer.
An equalizer and what else? Hold up.
More?
These
I don't
passive
know.
speakers.
What
These
else?
passive speakers.
Do churches have this?
What do these passive speakers have on them?
Carpet.
Carpet? Like what you walk on?
Hey, yes.
Carpet?
Yes, that lets me know that, okay, you have an old ancient speaker that is not powered, that is passive.
Carpet?
When you have carpet on your speaker.
I don't even know what's the purpose of carpet on your speaker? I'm not a sound person, so I don't know. What would be the purpose of carpet?
The purpose of the carpet was to keep it from getting scratched up.
By who? Kids or adults? Anybody? Just things?
No, well, it's mostly for mobile speakers.
Mobile speakers?
As you load them into your vehicle, your truck, whatever the case, they'd get scratched up. This was pre-covers.
Wow.
Pre-covers. Yeah.
Yes, pre-covers.
Pre-covers.
Yeah, pre-covers.
Yeah, well, I did not know that. I've never even heard of speakers with carpet on them. But yeah. All right. So
Yeah, and you know, if in most cases you'll see those speakers on actual speaker stands, and most modern churches have what? Their speakers mounted from the ceiling, hanging from the ceiling.
new stuff. Okay. Well, yeah, that's ancient, man. I mean, we got the music. Terminator got us with the music. This is the old music. So I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna go with. I'm not now. Listen, I'm not throwing no shade on no company, but I don't know what it is about this brand. Do you know the brand Tascam? Tascam, you know that brand?
Yes, I'm familiar with them.
I think it's a cool name. Their stuff looks good and slick and shiny and neat and all that stuff. But why do churches have this with the cassette players? I don't understand this. What are you recording on cassette? I don't understand. Any church I go to so far, they have this Tascam unit that has like a dual tape deck.
Oh yeah,
recorder. And I don't know why they have it. Who are you giving it to? What are you recording? What are you playing? I am floored. Whenever I see that, I'm like, why do you have this? And they just do. So that kind of gives me an idea that, all right, you can't make room for the new stuff if you've got this old stuff lying around.
this is true.
And maybe they're going off the premise that, you know, it still works. But that's a whole nother conversation. But that's, I don't know why they have that. So yeah, those are a couple things that, you know, we talked about briefly here that are old that we see in churches. But I think for episode 1 of Tech Disciples, I think we're solid. I think we can. You think we can do another one?
I think we can do another one, and
Yeah.
I think we ought to allow people to participate and let
Okay.
us know
Yeah.
what they feel we should address.
Yeah.
So give them some
solid.
contact information.
Yeah, so you could definitely follow us at ePIOZ IT. That's on Facebook, almost all social media platforms. ePIOZ IT, ePIOZIT. Big ones, Facebook. Not social media, but I know they're out there. So YouTube. So interesting enough, I'm actually on LinkedIn because I don't think the church community is really on LinkedIn, but I think the business-minded people are. So trying a different avenue out there as well, right? So LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube.
What about Instagram?
Instagram, yeah, I have an Instagram, and ePIOZ IT. It's all going to be there. And please submit your comments or questions through the social media avenues. They will be heard. Yeah. So that's how they can contact us. And of course, epioz.com/church if you're interested in having an assessment for your church or a quick talk about technology in general.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I gotta tell you, man, this music is really old, man. So no, I mean it's good. I mean it's good. We're talking about old stuff. So
it fits the purpose. Yeah.
this fits the purpose. But I think for our next podcast, Shawn, I think we need to. I mean, we kind of got into it here, but I think we need to really hammer things out and not blast people, but let them know they're dealing with some old stuff, old stuff.
Well, to me, Steve, it sounds like you want to blast them, but not say you're blasting them.
Maybe so. Go ahead, Terminator. Go ahead and put up that. Go ahead and put up that. Your church is so old. This is what we're doing in our next podcast.
Absolutely.
And people can definitely chime in and write in stuff. We'll figure out our chat stuff right now. But, I think this is going to be good. I know I have a list of things, and we're going to get at it. So I think this is going to be good. So we'll talk about-
Absolutely. No doubt.
So that's it. That's going to be our next podcast. Make sure you tune in and follow us for when the next podcast will be.
Exactly.
So, but I'm Stephen D. Holder.
I'm Shawn Alexander.
Terminator X.
Oh!
Terminator.
All right, man. Take us to credits, man. We're good.